We're halfway through, so let's get to the second group here. Gary Humble from Grapevine Craft Brewery. Come on up. Big round of applause for Gary. All right, Gary, here's your mic and your timer. 3 minutes begins now.
I'm Gary Humble. I'm the founder and CEO of Grapevine Craft Brewery in Grapevine, Texas. In 2012, I lost my job, and then I had one of those homebrew day epiphanies. I'm going to start a brewery. And so we did, and last year, in our first full year of production, we did 3,200 barrels shipped out of the brewery, which was crazy for our first year, but a really fun time doing it. And we decided to give away, we've committed to the community, we're very community focused, and we give away 5% of our profits to our community, which is kind of one of the big points that we put out about our brand. And we've been able to do some really incredible things already being a year and a half in the business, and really expect to be able to do a lot more. When I like to describe who we are regarding our beers, I love to tell this story. One of my first experiences sampling beers at a retailer, he had a lot more fun telling me about his homebrew, and it was kind of a craft beer bar down in Texas, and he said, you know, man, I just did this cask, and I put some pork belly in it. And whenever I poured the beer, it had a layer of oil this thick. Man, it was awesome. And then he said something I'll never forget. He said, I love my beer to violate me. And I knew, like, right then that our beer probably would never be on tap at that bar. But there was something really important about that conversation, is that it really defined who I wanted to be and what we wanted to brew. We brew traditional styles. Our whole goal is to invite people into craft. In Texas, we have a huge opportunity to invite the mainstream drinker. And so our idea, we have a filtered wheat, a rye pale ale, an IPA, which we're launching our first IPA next month after a year and a half. How about that? English brown ale and an oatmeal stout. And so the idea is to invite that mainstream drinker in. What you're going to taste today is our Lake Fire Rye Pale Ale. It's 5.5%. Starts off real floral, but it's kind of a hop 101. It's just under 10% rye. The rye's there, but it's not too offensive. Should finish really clean and crisp. And that beer is what I started bringing in my garage. It's my craft barbecue beer. Nice and easy drinking. We've had some great experiences over the last year and a half. We were fortunate in 2014, D Magazine, which is one of the major publications in Dallas, named our Sir William's English Brown Ale the best beer in Dallas, and we were able to follow that up at the Great American Beer Festival last year with a gold medal for English style brown ale. So really, really cool experience. We're growing like crazy. I'm here today because I'm trying to figure out how to manage that growth and how to make the right decisions and move forward in a really insanely crazy industry. In Texas, in North Texas, in the last 3 years, we went from 3 breweries to 32. So it's just ever-changing and exciting times. So thanks for hearing me out.
All right, Grapevine Craft Brewery. We saw the image of the cans and that last slide there. A lot of different brands, a lot of different identities kind of going on. Doug, what do you make of all the different sort of themes that are running through each of these brands? They almost seem like they could exist on their own.
The individual packages?
The individual packages, the individual brands.
Yeah, I actually thought this particular one was probably the weakest of the 4 or 5 that I saw. Just visually, I thought it's a little complicated, but the comment that I would kick back to you is you said you're 3,200 barrels successful in year 1. Something's got to be working. So when you say I'm still trying to figure it out, that to me was like a puzzling comment. That there's something that's working. What are you trying? Do you not know what that is?
I know how to manage the growth. You've got all these things in front of you, and we have opportunities to contract brew. We're licensing some brands. We have a lot of capacity. We're opening up new markets, and so for me, it's coming really fast, and we want to make the right decisions, because what I'm learning really quickly is quick growth is great, and we are creating some revenue streams, but I could see how some of those things could create some risk that could not be good in the future. So I'm really just trying to manage it appropriately and make good decisions moving forward. And it's not always easy to do.
Right. Michael, what'd you think of just the brand overall? Grapevine as sort of the umbrella brand and some of these other offerings.
I think you're building equity in things like Lake Fire, the beer brands themselves. I don't know if people are going to know Grapevine all that well. We heard from Deschutes at CBC this year that when they went into other markets, nobody knew who Deschutes was, but they'd heard of Mirror Pond and Black Butte, and that was a problem for them. And I think you're positioning yourself, at least in the way that it's communicated on the packaging, and to potentially down the road have a pretty similar problem. Right now, you're a big fish in a small pond potentially, and that's not such a big deal, and you're probably not thinking about that. And I think that keeps you from being able to communicate your real mission a whole lot, right? I think when you told us the story about the pork belly beer, you said, and that gave me an idea what I thought our mission was going to be, and then I didn't really hear one that a consumer would care about. Unless I care about local business and local business growth, I don't think there's really a mission for me to attach to yet. And so I think that's something to think about.
Okay. And Pat, for you, you know, you were sort of nodding your head when Michael was sharing the anecdote about Deschutes and sort of the brand equity. Do your consumers want to resonate with the brewery, or do they want to just more look at a package and identify with the beer itself?
Two thoughts on that. So you have this package that I think you're missing an opportunity of having that kind of billboard effect on a retail shelf, because you don't see Grapevine is such a secondary thing down here on this kind of bland-looking silver part of the package, and you have the name of the beer forefront. So if a retailer only chooses to carry one or two of them, I think the identity of your brewery as Grapevine Brewing is kind of lost in that mix. And you know, it's tough to really separate yourself in such a crowded beer market when you can't, you know, proclaim yourself as a brand first and not so much as like a rye pale ale second. And you have a GABF gold medal, and I really think you ought to be hanging your hat on that. And I'm kind of surprised you didn't bring that beer.
We brought our flagship. So while we won a GABF gold medal last October, this is 60% of what left the brewery. It's on tap at Rangers Ballpark Stadium, Dallas Mavericks. That's really been our flagship for the last year. Sir Williams is starting to creep up now that we won the gold medal, but that's really the beer that's got us out in the forefront.
Speaking of the beer itself, Ben, what are your thoughts on the product?
Yeah, you know, rye pales, I think they can be a challenging style. You can get too much rye in there and it becomes spicy and kind of one-dimensional. Now there was good balance throughout. Again, nothing completely dominated the palate, which was nice. So it was a pretty solid pale. I would ask, what is your guys' views or future of clarification, filtration, and are you looking at that avenue?
Yeah, so a lot I couldn't say in 3 minutes, right? So we are literally this week opening a new facility. We just sold our old facility to a new brewery. We're moving into a brand new brew house with a lab, and we've been doing DE filtration. We're going to continue that process, but for the first time, we'll have a fully outfitted lab, and lots of changes happening. We upgraded the 4-vessel system and 16,000 barrels of cellar, and it's everything's. This week is just everything's kind of going nutty. We're probably going to brew for the first time on Monday on that system, so lots of changes happening.
And Carmen, final word, collaboration opportunity here. You know, do you see this as the type of company that you guys would be looking to work with and brew with?
You know, there's a couple of things that are really interesting about you guys, one of which is Texas, because it's a really big beer market. So given the context of some of the talks today, like speaking of local, like how local fits into your strategy long term, I think that you guys would benefit from thinking through that and really have sort of drawing a line in the sand and having a very clear vision for what it is that you want to be, because I think that there's a lot to be said for, you know, being from Texas.
Awesome. Thank
Appreciate
you.
the feedback. Thank you.
Cheers.